YouTube. All right. So if you're joining us on YouTube, sorry, we had some major issues with coming on live on YouTube. All right, welcome our Facebook audience also. I was introducing myself a few minutes ago. For our audience on YouTube, my name is Maribeth Chima. I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources, and I always love to add, I'm also the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle, a pair mentorship and accountability group where we work with young children to reach their full potential. Our tagline on in the mastermind is that we are torch bearers. Yes, we are torch bearers and we beam. So the children in the mastermind know that they beam and they understand that they are not too young to be in the front stage of their lives. They understand that they are not too young to begin to realize or to begin to walk in the path that God has created them. All right, so we like to talk parenting as it affects our young children and our preteens. But I always love to add that if you're a parent of a toddler, then you are welcome here. As a matter of fact, we are putting together a program. We're putting together a program where we can help parents of toddlers once in a month. Yes, a free webinar for parents of toddlers once in a month. And that's because we have grounded people in the academy that are child psychologists and working child experts, child care experts, psychologists, and all of that. So if we have all of these, not help parents who are toddler parents, because most of the challenges you have with your preteens, yes, a lot of the challenges we have with our preteens is because many times we do not make the best of the period of their lives where they were toddlers. We do not take all the opportunity during the toddler phase of our children's lives. The toddler phase of their lives, we usually would run into and preteens. So we have come to realize that many preteens is because of the gap during their toddler years. Why we are creating begin to do the right thing as early as possible. All the issues that we usually see with our toddler and with our preteens. Looking at how, I mean, it's an SOS. Yes, are you that parent that is still throwing it and still throwing a time and 10? It's crazy, and I know it can be really embarrassing when your 10 or 12-year-old is throwing a wild tantrum, like having a real meltdown, and you're wondering, I thought this is something that should be happening to my 2 and 3-year-olds because they don't have enough language and all of that. Why am I still experiencing emotional breakdown with my children who are preteens? Now, the truth about it is, if, as I said, if a lot of gaps were left during the period that your child is a preteen, I mean a toddler, if a lot was left undone or a lot was left to chance, then you would go through all of these things. You will go through some of these meltdowns. Nip a lot in the bud when our children deal with a lot when they are preteens. So yes, how many lions, are we saying it in the inner circle? How many lions are chasing you? How many are chasing you? So the truth is, if you are a toddler parent, you have very few chasing you yet. In fact, you may have none chasing you if you get to work and begin to do the right thing. So we want to ensure that by the time your children transition, okay, to school age and then off to being preteens and adolescents, we do not carry the baggages of lions chasing us already. How can we make this happen is what we are talking about here today. All right. So when children are young. Okay, we're getting right into it. Before we get right into it, who is here with me? If you're here, why don't you make some noise in the comments so that I know that you have joined me and you are with me? Make some noise in the comment section, people, if you are here with us. All right, if you are on YouTube, why don't you share the link with someone who needs to be here? Yes, and if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, this is a good moment for you to subscribe to our channel. Just go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you get notified every time we come live, and you can catch all the resources. You catch up on all the resources that we have on the YouTube channel. It's a lot of resources locked in there. If you are on Facebook, why don't you go ahead and tag a friend who needs to be here right now so that your friend can be a part of these streams today. Don't just be in the background, say something so that we know that we have got you, we have got company. And yes, if you are catching the replay, let us know where you are catching the replay from. If you're getting value, or if you get value from the session at the end of the session. I said when children are young, what we have is the part of their brain regulates their emotions and regulates all that is going on around them is still under construction. Yes. So that part of the brain that is going to teach your child how to make sense of all of the impulses that they are getting, how to make sense of all the expressions in their environment. It's not really fully, does not know how to take what is coming at the child from their environment and interpret them in a way that can help them regulate how they feel. And this is because happens to be the prefrontal cortex, right? That happens to be the cortex of the child's brain is not fully developed. Okay, the prefrontal cortex is somewhere. And so when this is not fully developed, then your child is not able to regulate emotions as the child should regulate emotions. So what happens is, okay, the child, now there are other parts of the child's brain, right, that are developed. Right now, the most primitive part of the child's brain, now that one is developed already, and that is the part that controls, that controls how the child, involuntary actions, right? Involuntary actions, this part of the brain controls that. And basically, this part of the brain, that is the reptilian part of the brain, helps the child to cope or helps the child to survive. Now, that part of the brain, as soon as there is anything that is threatening the child in the child's environment, the child begins to react immediately. And this part of the brain is very sensitive right from when the child is born. All right, it's the most primitive part of the child's brain, the reptilian brain. Now, when this happens, you can actually look at it like the stem of the brain. Now, when this happens, you see your children crying. Children will cry when they are hungry because, hey, they can't even do anything to help themselves when they are hungry, isn't it? Now, this is a threat to the child. And so the child will cry out when the child is hungry, is feeling uncomfortable in their diaper. The child will cry out when the child is hot. The child will cry out when the child is not able to do anything and there is a feeling that the child cannot control. And that's the only way that the child can get you to attend to the child, by crying. All right, now this happens before your children become old enough to understand and at least have a way to give you signs that helps them understand that, okay, I have some control here. So at this point, your child is totally, not in control. And so they will keep crying, they will keep screaming until they get the help that they need. And this is because the part of their brain that will help them express themselves and how they feel is not fully developed. You're 2-year-old, you're 3-year-old, okay, because of one thing or the other. It's understandable, okay? And you need to understand, we need to understand these things as parents so that we do not sit down and have those conversations that parents have. And they say, you don't know this boy. He's only 2 months, but he's so wise. He's so wise. He knows what he's doing. No, he doesn't know how to express himself when he is feeling unsafe. Going through something, okay, he's feeling unsafe. There's a feeling of an unsafe feeling. Yes, there's an unsafe feeling, or there's a discomfort. The child is just going to go ahead and the child is going to cry. So when you have those conversations with parents that tell you, don't worry, I mean, if he bites you, slap him, slap him. He knows what he's doing. They're telling you crap. The child really doesn't know what he's doing at that point. The child just knows how to make sure that he survives, and he does that by crying until he gets the attention that he needs. Okay? Now, as your child begins to get older and older and older, then they begin to get more ways to express this. But before then, every time they feel angry, okay, they grow and they become 2 years old. You would think that at 2, they should be able to now express themselves completely. But remember that at 2, your child still doesn't have all the vocabulary that they need to express themselves. But now your 2-year-old is better than your infants, right? Because at least you can read their non-verbal expressions, and they can actually relay small information like I'm hungry, want to poo-poo, want to wee-wee, and all of that. So your 2-year-old can do this. Now, why is my 2-year-old still throwing a tantrum if they can actually say to me, I'm hungry, or I want to use the toilet and all of that? Now, because the needs of your child grows per day, isn't it? Our needs are insatiable. So we will continue to have needs. So at this tantrums your children are throwing is from probably not being given something that they want. So for your 2-year-old and your 3-year-old, the tantrum is going to come from probably things as simple as, I want a cookie and mommy says no. I want candy and mommy says no. I want to play with my toy and mommy says no. Or something, I want something in the supermarket and no one is giving it to me, or someone snatched my toy and things like that. Now you would think that you can't have a cookie. You should be able to understand that you can't have a cookie. And so you leave it and you go. No, at this point, your child still cortex that helps him regulate how he feels or help him regulate his feeling at that time. The child still doesn't have this part of the brain that is developed. But the mammalian brain of the child, the next part of the brain that is more advanced than the reptilian brain, that is the most primitive, is matured now. But is very emotional. Yes, your child is very. So your child recognizes and is in tune with his or her emotions, but they are still not able to recognize or regulate those emotions. Is going to express based on how they feel at that time, and it's going to be raw feeling. So that's why you see your child moves from asking you, mommy, can I have the cookie? And maybe the child is excited about the cookie, right? The child is excited about having cookie and comes to you and is like, mommy, can I have a cookie? And you say, oh no, you can't have it, perhaps because it is late or whatever, you can't have it. And then what happens? The child gets angry, okay? Now, as the child gets angry, okay, that part of the brain tells the child, you can't have this, and so you be angry right now. And so the child begins to, the feelings begin to spiral, and the child moves from being angry to doing what? To being frustrated, right? They move from being angry to being frustrated, being sad, okay? And at this point, you will see the child begin to throw a full tantrum, right? The child begins to throw a full tantrum. It's usually like a roller coaster, or usually you see the path. The child comes from asking, and then the child goes. The next thing you see them with their sad face or doing something like this and all of that. At this point, it depends on where your journey is with your child. You could begin to see the child want to hit you. For some parents, the child wants to hit you, or the child wants to hit anyone around, wants to take their anger or their frustration on another child around. It could be At this point, it's only their emotions that the children can, their emotions that they are dealing with at that time. So yes, the child goes into that anger, the anger moves from anger. Then you see a full-blown tantrum, and your child is probably on the floor shouting and screaming and being just out of order and all of that. Now, this is for your 3-year-olds, thereabouts, 1, 2, 3-year-olds. Now you begin to wonder, by the time, okay, the prefrontal cortex should have started developing to an extent. Okay, it should have started developing to an extent. Now, I remember I said it was under construction. And so somewhere around 4, good to start regulating these emotions, because the prefrontal cortex would have developed, or the construction can begin to, regulate how they feel. Now, at this point, the child is able to say, okay, I wanted a cookie, mommy didn't give me. Okay, maybe I should be more expectant. Okay, and the other time she didn't give me, I didn't die. There should be some level of regulation coming in here, okay, pending on the child. Now, why am I saying depending on the child? This is where you come in as a parent, okay? This is where we come. The main crux of what we're talking about comes in. Now, we already said that before age 4, 5, thereabouts, our children are at that point where the prefrontal cortex is still under construction. There are already in full-fledged action, okay, like the most primitive part that is there, fully activated right from when the child is born. And basically this part of the brain is to keep the child safe. It's to keep us safe from day one. Makes you know when it's time to freeze, when it's time to take flight, okay, and when it's time to fight back. So these are instincts. So all of these, that part of the brain, the primitive part of the brain, basically kicks in to keep you. So yes, during this first phase of the children's life, this is how they cry out when they need help, because this part of the brain is fully active to ensure that the child is safe. Now, by the time to get to 4 and 5, okay, where the prefrontal cortex should kick in, okay, where that is activated, or it must have been constructed to the point that the child can now begin to come in as a parent, is this. The brain is a relational organ, and most of its development, how fast the prefrontal cortex or how develops, is going to be dependent on the relationship, okay, or how the people, the caregivers, the adults in the child's environment. Yes. So at every point, what responses the child is getting from his environment, how the people in the environment are responding to the child's need, beginning child is at the stage where the child is conscious, okay, and the primitive part of the child's brain has kicked in, okay, and that whole freeze, flight, and fight mode has been responding to our children right from that stage, is what will imprint on the prefrontal, or the rate of growth of the prefrontal cortex. I'm making sense. Let me know that you are following me and you're on. In the development of your child's brain, which of course is responsible for how your children throw tantrums or do not tantrums, okay, your part as a parent is very key in this whole developmental phase, or in this whole developmental journey. Very, very key. We need your child's prefrontal cortex, which of course would have started being constructed right from day one. It's just that by the time they are 1 and 2 and thereabouts, it's not developed enough, right? By the way, this see your child is somewhere around their late 20s. Okay, research says between 20 and 26. Okay, but 20s, your child is still the prefrontal part of the brain where where it helps the child to regulate their emotion, where learning happens, and many other activities navigate the world takes place, doesn't get fully developed till sometime around 25, 26. But how rapidly or how effectively this part of the brain develops is dependent. Yes, because the brain is a relational organ. So let's take child B. We're going to be looking at two children. We're going to be looking at child A and child B. So let's take, for instance, child A. Child A is growing in an environment where there is love, there is tenderness. Okay, the parents are calm, the parents are knowledgeable, and the parents are intentional. So meaning the parents understand, okay, or the parents have put themselves in a situation, or they have gone ahead to learn so that they can understand their toddlers. Yes. And this is what we are planning to do for toddler parents very soon. Later this month, we are putting together a free masterclass. Yes, we have in our team an early years expert, of course, and of course, we have the parent. The preteen, of course, coach, of course. And so we are putting together a powerful masterclass where we will be helping toddler parents understand the development and how to help their toddlers. Of course, we know that the whole toddler phase is a definite role, as in it's a crazy roller coaster of a moment. And this point in the child's life is where foundation happen during this first 6 years of your child's life. There's a lot that you have to do to help the child maximize all that is happening in the child's life. It also happens to be the time that the child is most erratic and the child is. Now, how do you go through all of these new things happening in your life, in their lives, and you're able to harness their full potential and make the present for your child to learn, to be educated, and to develop to their maximum level at this stage of their lives? This is what we want to point you to so that you begin to work on it, right? So that you begin to work on it and make sure you don't get overwhelmed things because you do not understand what is going on in the life of your child at this time. So let's go back to those two cases that I was talking about. So child one is the child of the parents who has attended this toddler masterclass that we're talking about. So now this parent has knowledge. This parent understands what is going on in the child's brain, understands why the child acts the way the child acts, understands that the child or preempted plan to be a nuisance or to just come and frustrate you. The way parents will say sometimes, "Don't, this child very wicked, but he knows what he's doing." When parents say those kind of things, it's okay. You're the one that does not understand who you're raising or does not understand what to do with this blessing that is in your hand. So yes, we're talking about this parent now that has attended this program masterclass and now understands what is going on. Now this parent is equipped. So because this parent is equipped, the parent knows how to respond to the child that is 1 month, 2 months, 6 months old, during that phase that all you get from the child is cry, 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 because the child is trying to survive. Because that is the only way that the child can communicate to you that they are unhappy or they are uncomfortable or whatever it is. You understand this and you are applying this. Okay, you understand that at some point when they are 2, they're going to ask you, is your responsibility as a parent, okay, equipped to know that you do not always have to say yes to your child, neither do you have to say no to your child every time. But it's your responsibility to help your child understand that response, or sometimes you will get a negative response, and each of these responses are adequate or they are right for the situation. So it's your responsibility to teach your child how to accept rejection and how to accept when they are when they get a yes or when they get a no. Now you understand this as a parent and you know how to go about saying no. You understand this as a parent and you know that your child is in the window period for learning a lot of things. And so you are stimulating that child and stimulating their environment, okay? And so when your child is trying to grow or your child is trying to develop the right way or develop as they should be, okay, through the knowledge and understanding of their environment. Where your child is trying to be curious, okay, or where your child is being curious and is exploring, because the child is trying to understand themselves and understand their environment, you know not to turn that into frustration for you and for the child by beating and yelling and shouting and screaming all the time to be flying around here. Remember, you are doing growing and their prefrontal cortex is developing. So at this point is connected to emotions or the growth of the prefrontal cortex, or it is inhibiting. So every time your child gets a positive how do I put it now, a positive response from their environment, every time your child gets they get a feeling, okay, from the environment, okay, there are certain hormones that are released in their system that will help. This is not to say that your work is going to continue to say yes, yes, yes to your child so that their prefrontal cortex will continue to develop. This is to say that your child enjoy or get and still get a sense of motivation or expectation or an understanding that you say no to the child. So either way, the experience that your child is having still turns out to be positive. Now, it is through those positive expressions, positive you and your child, the connection between you and your child, the understanding between you and your child's ability to stay calm, even when they get yes or no and all of that. These things, as these things are happening, your child, the right hormones are being released in the child's system, and these hormones are helping the prefrontal cortex to develop in the right way or effectively. But every time there is a bad, okay, every time there's a bad experience, every time there is fear, every time that there is stress in your child's environment, and of course, I hope you know by now the kind of things that can stress your child. When you yell at your child, okay, there is the feeling of stress in your child because there is a part of the brain that shuts down when your child is stressed or when your child is in fear. Okay, as that part shuts down, what happens? The wrong kind of hormone is released in your child's system, and usually these hormones will block or they will inhibit the growth of the prefrontal cortex. So you see now, child A, who is getting all of this calmness in their now, and this is why you can have it. You can have candy at night, because when you have candy at night, it's not good for your health. Okay, you have a lot of sugar in your system, and that sugar will not allow you sleep well at night. You become tired in the morning, and your child will be like, okay, mommy, I understand, but can I have it tomorrow? Yes, you can have it tomorrow when you are active, and we know that we can burn on whatever. Said no to your child, but you have said no to the child in a way that the child is willing to let go, and your child can anticipate this for the next time. So yes, you still get the child to have a sense of satisfaction. You still get the child to have some dopamine in their system, just understanding or expecting. Okay, you can have it right now. That's because you know that we have TV time only during the weekend. So yes, honey, you will have to do other things and you can have TV on Saturday. Okay, mommy, the child understands because you know how to pass your message. Okay, the child understands this. And so it turns from the child being eager to the child, it turns from the child wanting it by all means to the child understanding, and then, of course, the child being expectant. So, yes, the child still gets, that little release of dopamine in their system. That's still a feel good thing and all of that. And when all of this happens, you find out that the child is growing to be a child who can regulate their emotions, the child who, do you understand? You are modeling to the child how to manage their emotions. Yes, you are modeling to the child how to accept the things that could be a trigger in the child. So the more triggers your children have, the more emotional stress they have, the less the chance of the prefrontal cortex growing effectively. Am I making sense? Are you understanding? Are you following me? If you are, don't just be quiet in the comments. In the group, say something in the comments. Let me know you're with me and that you're understanding what is going on here. All right, so with this you realize that your child is growing, and the child is growing in the right environment. Your child is growing, and the child is growing in an environment that is empowering. So this child gets yes and it gets no, just like any other child anywhere else. But see how your child takes his yes or takes the no's, knowing that, okay, the child understands, because what? You have a kind of relationship, okay? You are relating with the child in a way that is helping the child develop emotionally. So can you see all of this? You're helping the child develop emotionally. You're helping the child understand. You're helping the child grow rich language and in many other ways. So remember, if you are that parent that's attended or that will attend, of course, the workshop that we have, it's not just about their emotions. You will also be learning about how to help them grow and how to help them develop, effectively in many other areas. So as all of this, as you understand this as a parent, and you understand that your child is growing and requires a lot of stimulation in their environment, as you're putting all of this in place, what you realize is your child is growing in many other areas. Your child's growing emotionally, the child is growing psychologically, in their social life, they're growing in stimulation. Basically all around stimulation is happening in the child's brain, and all of these are going to, of course, come in accumulated, and this is how the child's prefrontal cortex will develop. Now that is why you will see, okay, let's talk a little about child B. So child B is that child that, hey, it is mommy is screaming, daddy is beating, the environment is shaking, everybody, there's all the release of all the tension and all of that. So child B is that child that, I want cookie, and the mommy gives him today. I want cookie tomorrow. Mommy gives him tomorrow. And then on the third day, mommy says, no, you can't have cookie. Why can't I have cookie? Mommy is not explaining to you why you can't have. The child has been having cookie every time. He has it in the morning, he has it in the afternoon, he has it at night, he has it whenever he wants it. Then all of a sudden you wake up and you say you can't have it, okay? And you are not making the child understand why you can have it and all of that. You don't even have that regulation yourself as a parent to even sit down, talk to your child and all of that. So the child is growing in an environment that is unpredictable because the parent is either not there, and even when the parent is there, the parent is not predictable because the parent doesn't have any structure. The parent doesn't have why the parent will say yes today and no today. The parent goes with their feelings, okay, also just like the child. So one moment you are giving the child because you have, the next moment you are saying no because you don't have, and all of that. Now the child doesn't understand all of these things, and you don't even bother to try and make them understand. You have not learned, of course, you're not intentional, and you have not learned how to do these things. You don't even understand how the child brain works. You don't understand what your child is going through at this phase of their lives. So basically, you are that parent that understands that, of course, I'm a parent. You can't come and teach me how to parent my child. Oh, do they learn parenting? What is all these? All these people with their wahala. Why should I read it? So you are just there free flowing and you are parenting as you like. Okay? The day you feel like it, there is bonus. The day you don't feel like it, there's no bonus and all of that. So your child is confused. Your child is confused, and these are all recipe for instability in the child's emotions. So one day he gets a yes and he's so excited, okay, everything is okay. The next day he gets a no and he begins to cry. And of course, someone already told you, when they cry like that, beat them some more, okay? Or the next day, the child is, of course, being a child, trying to develop in their most natural in their natural environment, or trying to develop. Remember, we're talking about your toddlers now, 0 to 6. This is the point where they're developing in every area of their lives. Now the child is just trying to explore. The child is just trying to understand his environment. He's just being curious. And so every time he touches the remote control, will you drop it? You're shouting, you're blocking. You stifle the child's growth, you stifle the child's freedom, you stifle the child's ability to understand their environment. Oh, the child goes out of the house as he's going there. Look at this one. You don't know you can fall in the staircase. Come on, go inside. You block, you stifle, stress, all that shouting and all the beating, stress. All of these wrong hormones pumped into expressions in the child's environment. All of this is affecting the development of the child's prefrontal cortex. Is affecting the part of the child's brain that will teach the child how to regulate, the part of the child's brain that will help the child become an excellent learner, the part of the brain that will help the child do well in their cognitive abilities and all of that. It's still that prefrontal cortex that is responsible for all of this. The part of the brain that will help them manage their relationships, all of it is still in that one place, okay? The child is trying to jump around and develop his big muscles and all of that. He needs to move around. Now you are not taking the child somewhere where the child can do this. And so the child is in your house jumping from one chair. What do you do? Did I not tell you not to climb that thing? Pa, 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 pa. You beat the child and all of that. Block. You block. Wrong hormones and all of that. Now this becomes your child's experience. Child B. The child's experience is such that he doesn't know what to expect. There's a lot of unpredictability in the child's environment. In fact, one day you're sitting down there and you're watching TV and the child is jumping and you're not saying anything. In fact, you say nothing until he falls down. And the moment he falls down, begins to cry. Then you go, Papa, did I not tell you? So I was jumping a few minutes ago. Nobody said I shouldn't jump. All of a sudden, I'm jumping today and I'm beating for it. The child, you know, the child shouldn't jump. I'm not saying your children should be jumping on your chair. I'm just saying your children are developing at this point. What are you doing to ensure that they are maximizing and they are optimizing, okay, this window period in their life where they need to develop their gross motor, their big motor skills in the most natural way, basically? At this point where they are supposed to be becoming the Usain Bolt and the Serena Williams and all the strong men and everything out there. So this is the child just trying to be all of that naturally, because at this point, nature is pulling the child to do this because this is the stage for this kind of development. So nature will pull the child naturally. How we would grow, how we would develop, and how we will become, how we can navigate the world. All we need is for the parents and the caregivers to recognize, oh, it is time for this. Now, how can I create more experiences so that the child can practice, and then this can be internalized, especially at this point of the child's life. Okay, so that's our role. So as a parent, because you don't have knowledge, rather than help create more stimulation in that area to ensure that your child is maximizing their potential in this window period that is the most important period where the child is building foundation. Because you don't know, all you are doing is beating and shouting and screaming and telling yourself you are an Odogu father, Odogu mother. You're telling yourself, I don't take nonsense. They know I don't take crap. I will reset your brain. Hey, your friends will clap for your more correct mother. Meanwhile, what are you doing? You're just there inhibiting, stifling, causing all kinds of damaging effects in your child's body and stopping the child from developing as they should. years down the lane, I mean, you're there, your cannot operate at the same level as their contemporaries in their schoolwork, and you're wondering, no, when people were building the foundation, you were there stifling it with all that you were doing. Now, so what happens when the children become preteens and they are still throwing a tantrum? That's our main thing. So I'll run through that shortly, and then I'll give you ways that we can help our children deal with these things. All right. So now this is what happens when your child now becomes a preteen, okay, and your child is still throwing this tantrum. Can you begin to connect what I'm saying? Now, if you are that parent A, okay, chances are by the time your child is 8, the time your child is 8, 9, the child already knows how to regulate. The child started understanding because you were relational. The child started understanding because you were understood that the child is an individual and not just a little person that you can talk. Child is a little one, and so you are already modeling to the child how to talk. You're already modeling to the child how to stay calm in situations. You're already modeling to the child how to express yourself and how to talk to the next person respectfully by doing that. So you're already modeling to the child how to understand their feelings, how to express their feelings, and what to do. Already doing all of this by the time the child is 1 and 2 and 4 and 6 and 10. So of course, by the time the child is 10, the child will be mirroring them or how you have taught them to express themselves. So chances are you will not be the one that your 10-year-old will be screaming all over the place when they get a no. You will not be the one that your 10-year-old will be screaming and shouting all over the place when they walk into a supermarket or they walk into a store and they want a gadget and you say you can have it. Assignment a long time ago, and you bonded and you learned how to use rich language in your communication with your child. And so by the time your child is 8 and 10, your child already knows how to regulate their emotions. Your child already knows, okay, I am not happy right now. Okay, I need to stop for a moment and understand how I am feeling and understand how I can use what calming technique can I use right now to calm myself down. You have gone through this with your child, and so by the time your child is no, they are not the ones throwing a tantrum. Now when you go now back to child B that we were talking about, remember that child B already remember that child B already, YouTube, am I still on? So remember that child B already is dealing with, so remember that child, okay, what's going on here? Sorry. Uh-oh. What happened? Whoa. Please, if you're on YouTube, can you see me? What's going on? Looks like I went off on Facebook. What's that? Oh. Okay. I'm not understanding. What happened on Facebook? I hope everything is okay. What happened on Facebook? Was I live on Facebook at all? Wow. All right. We'll just go on. I don't know what happened on Facebook. 1 minute I just saw go live, right? 1 minute I just saw go live. Like, did the stream end? I'm sorry. Were you on the stream on Facebook? Was I on earlier on? Because I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding what happened on Facebook. Were we live on Facebook? Because the stream just went off and the next minute I saw go live. I hope we're live on Facebook all the while. We've been talking about why, I mean, your child that is a 11, 12-year-old child will still be throwing a tantrum when they can't get what they want or when they are not allowed to do what they want. All right. If you're on Facebook and you've been following us and this stream, some magic just happened that I don't understand. But if you have been with us, following us, please let me know that there's nothing to worry about. All right. Okay, so we have been talking about your child and why your child that is 8 year old can be throwing a tantrum. Okay, and we said it's all connected to when your child was 2 and 3, 1 and 4, 6 and 10. What you did with the child at the time. Okay, this will determine why your child should or shouldn't be throwing a tantrum by the time the child is older. All right. I am hoping that everything is okay. You can see me, you can hear me. Please, if you're on Facebook, you can see me and hear me. Let me know that you can see me, you can hear me. And if you're watching us on YouTube, let us also know that you are with us. You can see us and you can hear us, and that you are following. All right. If you're catching the replay of this session, let us also know that you are here, and let's know if you're getting value from this session. All right. So huge. We already talked about child A and why child A will be fine, and you will hardly have a chance. Chances will be had that your child A will be throwing a tantrum, and this is of course because child A has been modeled to over the years, and child A now knows how to regulate their emotions because of course their prefrontal cortex has developed to the extent that the child can do this. All right, so let's look quickly, okay, in the next few minutes. Let's look at what we can do if we have. Hey, what's going on? Everything is just all over the place. What is going on here? Okay, I think we're good. Following coach. All right, thank you, Peace. Thank you for that. All right, so now let's go right into it. So we already know what will happen or what could happen for child A and what you could be dealing with for child B, and you know why you could be doing this or you could be dealing with this. All right, now so let's look at, now I already have a preteen that is still throwing a tantrum. What do I do? All right. Now, one of the things that you could do, okay, of course, you are a parent of a preteen, so you know your preteen. Your preteen is old enough for you to know them to an extent. All right. So, one of the things you want to do is during the time that your preteen is throwing a tantrum, the first thing you want to do is you want to try and distract them, because it can be really embarrassing, isn't it? Whether you are alone or you are out at a store or somewhere and your preteen is throwing a tantrum. So the first thing you want to do is you want to distract them at that time by turning to interested in. Okay? By turning to something that your child is interested in. So you turn and say, okay, calm down, calm down, calm down. Is this, the way you're feeling about this, is it as bad as when you don't get to play football? Think of your football matches and how I allow you play football whenever you want to play football. Is this as bad as not allowing you go for your football practice? Is this as bad as not having that play to something that is your child's interest at that time, some other thing that the child is interested, and help them catch their breath at that time and think of what's their tantrum at this point, or if this thing that they're throwing a tantrum about, if they don't get it, whether it will kill them. So you can turn to something that is better that they've had, something that is better that you don't have a problem with them having, or something that is better, or maybe that's happened in the past, or sometime in the past where you gave them that thing without them even having to ask. And so you're saying to them, you can have this right now. Have you not had this at a point where you didn't ask for them, trying to distract them from what it is? Number two, you want to turn it into a playful thing. Okay. So your your preteen is throwing a tantrum. Okay. Now you want to actually, good. I'm not getting it. What is going on here? What is going on here? You throwing this kind, you want to just joke about, you want to do something, you want to turn away from it, just turn the situation into a playful thing at the time so that you can get them out of that place. That place at that time. So look for something that for the both of you have going between you, and then throw that joke out there at the time so that you can get their mind out of it. Do not give in every time, especially if your preteen has to throw a tantrum to get something. You should never give in. It is a reason for the child not to get what the child wants. To go ahead and throw a tantrum over something at age 10, 8, 10, 9. The simple fact that your 10-year-old cannot take a no is a problem. Take, okay, no, honey, this isn't happening right now. It's a problem. So rather than have your children throw tantrums, what you want to do is handle the situation at the time. And if you have not taught them negotiation skills, now this is the time to go back and begin to teach them negotiation skills. And when you're teaching your children about negotiation skills, let them know that we do not negotiate at the point where you get a no. You don't negotiate at that point. Negotiation for something that you want is either going to happen before the need for that thing comes, or after you get that no or whatever it is. So yes, at the point the child wants it, the child has asked for it, you have said no. Okay, the ideal thing is that the child goes, okay, or the child says, I'm sorry, mommy, would you mind, or do you mind explaining or letting me know why I can't? You should raise children who are powerful. Okay, you should raise children who are powerful. Okay, am I talking about number 3? Because number 3 is actually for you to give your child some power. Give your child some power by teaching your child how to demand or how to ask for things, not from a beggarly point, but from a point that is empowering and a point that is very logical, or a point where they can actually know how to negotiate their way, or at least have a conversation around it. So thing, and you want that thing at the time. We're talking about your preteen now. We're talking about your 10-year-old, your 11-year-old, your 8, your 9-year-old. Some would say from 9, okay? But I deal with young children and preteens. So when I'm even talking like this, I'm taking it right from 6. I'm taking it right from 6 through your young children, and then your preteens, and then your just teens, up to 14. Okay, so whenever you're listening to me, know that I'm talking to your child, talking about your child that's between 6 and 14, because these are the children I work with at the Mastermind Circle. So if you're 8-year-old, you're 10-year-old, hey, hi, Debbie. How are you? Hello, Blessing. I see you. Sorry, I've not been acknowledging the people around here. Hey, Tammy. Are you still watching? All right. So I'm not talking about your 2-year-olds now. Why, if your 2-year-old is throwing a tantrum, okay, they are at the point where their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that controls emotions and all of that, is still under construction. Now, this is the point where you begin to model to them how to handle this. So yes, they are throwing a tantrum at this stage. It's okay. The ideal thing, dear parents, is not to start screaming and shouting at them at this stage. They are not in control. Yes, that your 2-year-old is getting all upset about it. No, the child is not in control. And if you have not started early to teach them, then they would throw those tantrums. Even if you have taught them to an extent, they may still throw these tantrums, but maybe not as wild as a child that has never been taught. For instance, as soon as my children are old, they can understand, I start teaching them the song, yes is an answer, no is an answer, anyone you get is just fine. So, for instance, we don't drive and you see something and you are like, mommy, buy. So for the record, I don't stop on the road and buy anything. Yes. For the record, I don't stop on the way and buy, from people who are like, just because the child wants it. We don't do that. So for the time that the kids are very young, we don't do that. All right. Now, when we go to the stores with the kids, just for teaching sake, I am intentional like that. Okay. Just for teaching sake, we write down all the things that we need when we are going out to the store. So just for teaching sake, we get in there and I will insist that we're buying from the list of the things that we have until we are done. When we're done, if the children have want anything, 99% of the time, I will not budge. Now, this is because I understand that this phase is very critical because you are modeling and you are teaching at this point. So, what I say to them, just as I was saying, it's not for you to give them a no, no, no without a reason. You want to give them a no and make them understand why it's a no. Oh, come on, sweetie, we already agreed that we're not going to buy anything that is not on the list. But you know something, we can start creating the next list today. So, hey, we're going to put this on the list for the next time. So we call it the wish list. So, hey, remember, when we go home, we'll put it on the wish list. And you never know. The wish list can manifest later today, can manifest tomorrow, can manifest at any point. So basically, what you're just doing is you are actually teaching your children how to accept rejection. Because rejection is a thing. It will happen in life. They will see it in life. They will see it at different points, whether we want to give it to them or we don't want to give it to them. Because life will throw you such that at some point you can't give your child certain things that they want. It happen now, or doesn't it happen? So no, you don't want to raise children to think you can give them everything they want. You don't want to do that. So you want to create those lessons so that your children know this thing. Empower your child. Okay, you want to empower your child, so teach them how to negotiate, teach them how to use negotiation, and of course, how to stay calm until the negotiation power comes to life. Okay, all right. Now, the next one you want to do is you want to teach them coping skills. Yes, you want to teach them coping skills. So, in the midst of all of that tantrum, you want to teach them, okay, sweetie, at this point, I think you need to stop. I want you to breathe in and breathe out, and we can have this conversation when you can be more reasonable. So no, you don't talk to me when you are crying and screaming. There's no conversation. No, none is going to happen. You will have to learn how to cope with that feeling. So I am going to go ahead and, of course, validate how you're feeling. I understand right now how you are feeling. I know you are unhappy about this, and I understand it completely, but I will need you to calm down so that we can have a reasonable conversation about this. So it is very important what you do with the emotions when you are going through them. You can't come here and be screaming and shouting all over the place because somebody says you can't have you can't have something. Who you be? You can't. So neither am I going to make you feel like, oh, you're such a stupid. No, nobody's going to do that. But hey, we're going to talk to you civilly, okay? Hey, sweetie, okay, I understand, okay? And I know that you really want to cry right now, but you can't be screaming like that when you're crying. I need you to just calm down, okay? Calm down. You want to breathe in, you want to breathe out, okay? What do you want right now? You want to go to your room, okay? All right, go to your room and make sure the door is open. But no, don't go to your room. Just stay here, lie down, and just when you feel better, we'll talk about it. Who knows? Okay, anything can be. So you want to give your children that kind of power, teach them how to cope in the situation. And then the last one, because time is gone. We started at 7 minutes, so we need to stop. 7 minutes past our time, so it's just exactly 1 hour. The last one you want to do is you want to teach your children how to name their emotions. Dear parents, some of our children, all our children know is I'm angry. No, there are different stages of anger. I said at the beginning, sometimes what your toddler is going through is anger at first. Now, during the phase of anger, they are like this, or they are like that, or they begin to hit their younger sibling, or for you that have not put the boundary, they are hitting you. I don't know how you could do that one. It doesn't happen with me. Don't hit me. It's okay. We're not doing that thing. All right. So for some of them, they're hitting you. I've seen all sorts. Okay, they're throwing things at you and all of that. Okay, so at this stage, what is going on is the child is probably angry, and and so if that, and because the child has just got a no, or the child has just got a you can't have it, whatever it is, and the next thing is what? The child will now move from that anger to outright frustration. Now the frustration at this point is that I am doing all of this, I'm angry, I've done all of these, I've tried to push, I've tried to tug and all of that, and I'm still not getting it. At this point I am sad, or I'm frustrated. So it is when they now become frustrated that you see the full meltdown. Whoa, 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 running and kicking and everything, and they're crying and they're rolling and all of that. So you should let your child. So you want to ask the child, how are you feeling right now? What's going on in your mind right now? How are you feeling? What do you, so let them, so your child should be able to say to you, I am angry, mom. I'm angry because of I feel frustrated because nothing is happening around here. Your child should be able to say to you, I feel unloved. Yet let your child express it the way they feel. Okay, this is why a lot of us nobody taught us how to do this. That's why you will be there outrightly angry at a friend, and the person is saying, what's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. Oh, you're angry. I'm not angry. I said I'm not angry. You're obviously angry now. Which one be I'm not angry? I said I am not angry. So you see this, you see it with men, you see it with women and all of that, because we were not taught to, validate our emotions, how we feel per time. I feel disappointed. It's not everything that is anger. If your wife, if your husband, if your child has disappointed you, they've done something that actually makes you feel like, I feel disappointed or I feel betrayed, let them understand how to use their emotions and name them adequately. Very, very key. And let your children learn how to express them in calm, respectful, and of course, empowering ways. All right. So as I said, these are some of the reasons why you would have your 10 years old still throwing tantrums, because they have not been helped over the years to name their emotions, to know their emotions, to manage their emotions, to regulate their emotions, and to present the way that they feel. They've not been taught coping mechanism on how to cope with those emotions. And so every time they go through them, it's all over the place. So what you want to do right from when your children are infants and toddlers is you want to, introduce all of this into your everyday life. Now, when you do this, through the years, from when they are 1 till the time they are 8 and 9, I'm telling you, when your children become preteens, they will be able to manage their emotions. Yes, they won't be pretending, they won't be subdued, they will just be able to understand. And nobody don't die, nobody die. We can still move on. And in the midst of it, your child can actually be remorseful even in the midst of a rejection, or your child can learn to move on even in the midst of a rejection. FOMO doesn't become a problem. The fear of missing out is not a problem because your child knows how to handle being rejected. So he wants to go somewhere with a group of friends and they say no. And he's like, okay, that's cool. I was saying to one of the parents in the mastermind circle, you need to raise the child to the point where the child, when someone says, oh no, you can't be my partner, and the child's like, okay, that's fine. I'll go get another partner. No one wants to partner with me. Okay. I'm 2 people in one. I'm partnering myself. I know these things are big. I know these things are, they're not as easy. But you are the one that will have to empower these children to learn how to be comfortable with their emotions, how to deal with them, and how to, especially for parents who are out there, we have a lot of parents going out there in the diaspora and all of that. Your children are going to meet a lot of rejection. Yes, they're going to meet a lot of rejection. Culture shock will be the main thing that will hit them. So you don't want to raise a child that is not emotionally in a good place, and then you toss them into a place where people can throw any kind of emotion at them. You will move your child from just that happy child to a miserable, depressed, or suicidal child if you don't do something about these things. So yes, you want to, if you're a toddler parent, you're a parent of a young person, then you want to take advantage of our upcoming free, it's actually a free masterclass, all right? that is going to be telling you or helping you understand all about your all about your toddler and how to understand your toddler. Okay, because if you don't understand your toddler, you will make a mess of them by the time they become young children and preteens. If you do not understand your toddler, you will create so many gaps in their lives that will manifest by the time they become young children and preteens. By the time their prefrontal cortex is big, is developed enough for them to begin to operate from their rational brain, for them to start operate from a place where they can reason out certain things, you will realize that how they will reason, their perception or perspective of things will be a brush for you, and it might just be the reason for more and more conflicts in your relationship with your children. So you want to nip it in the bud. You want to get the toddler phase right. Okay, so there'll be a flyer for this the flyer for the masterclass is going to be up. Okay, so keep your eyes locked in the group. It's going to be up before the end of the day, and you can just join the wait list and wait, and we'll be having that class. Okay, and experts, okay, and I'll be there to for my people. All right, so basically you're gonna and you want to be a part of the list and wait for the end of the month. Thank you very much. Just took an extra 6 minutes before. Hope you got value from this session. If you're catching the replay and you're getting value, have someone who needs to listen to, okay, or share the link with them so that they can watch these on Facebook or on YouTube. Thank you very much. My name is Maribeth Chima. Always excited to be on your screen and to be a part of your parenting journey. We do not take it for granted that you give us access. Have a fantastic day and God bless you. Bye.